Yeah, it actually depends on how you define success. You know, looking at where I started, I actually thought by the time I reached this point, I'd actually think that I've made it. But now that I'm here, only do I realize that there's still a long road ahead.
Yeah.
There's still quite a number of achievements one is hoping to achieve, and different goals and so on.
Look, we try by all means to set ourselves apart. And I think that is what has kept us as one of the leading institutions in Africa till this day. It's simply because whatever happens, we're not part of the hype. We have remained true to our vision and who we are from day one until today. And as much as there might be issues along the way, we don't compromise that. And one of the things being, as an institution, we will never get to a point where we are even tempted to take investments from people until the day we are licensed to do that. And hence, anybody who walks into offices and says, Sandile, look, I've got $1 million or $2 million. Do you guys mind trading for us? We cannot help you. The only thing we can help you is to share the knowledge we have on what we do, and you do it at your own capacity.
I'd be lying if I had to say it was self-taught. I did, when I started, it was self-taught. However, along my journey, I started associating myself with successful guys in the industry. And I've been learning from quite a number of different guys. And I do have mentors who basically groom me every now and again.
One of the greatest challenges that I think I faced, especially in the beginning, is obviously one didn't get any funding. One didn't get any investors to jump on board and actually help us kickstart the business. So I literally financed everything from my personal capacity, and that really sort of squeezed my cash flow to a point that every little penny I was making had to go into the business. And at the time when we started, obviously the business wasn't generating much, because there's me, the trader, trading in my personal capacity, then there's the company.
Yep.
So whatever cent was made here was pumped into the company, which the company wasn't generating those returns. And I remember there was a time where one had to make a decision, whether do we close the office or do I compromise on my daily life. And I remember I had to try and sell a lot of my own personal assets, get rid of a whole lot of things, just so I can refinance the business and keep moving. And I've had quite a rough time. I remember there was a very tough 4 months where I was literally taking public transport, and people didn't know this. They thought Sandile is still fine, he's got a car, he's got everything. But I mean, those were early days. One has learned from those mistakes, and we've grown.
Discipline. Discipline is key, purely because of the fact that you have no one chasing behind you. I can easily come to Cape Town and just party all weekend because there's no one who's actually going to sort of tell me what to do. So as a young man, that's one of the challenging things, that you need to learn to discipline yourself and know exactly that this is the ideal goal, this is what we want to achieve as a company, and make sure you stick on track.
It's got its downs, it's got its own challenges, but most importantly, it's not something you can get into today and expect to be rich tomorrow. It's a process. It's a process. And obviously you got to accept the process. You got to be part of the process. You got to respect the process, because people who have tried to take shortcuts in what we do, they've literally ended up nowhere. There's a whole lot of people who are facing serious challenges, and some even legal issues based on the fact that they're trying to take shortcuts in the industry. But if you accept the fact that it's about the consistency over time, then you'll be there for quite a long time.
For me, I'm just like any other young guy growing up from a township. I was raised by both my parents, who are both teachers. I come from a normal background, so which is why a lot of people sort of get inspired by my story, because I don't come from a rich family. I started off like any other young man. I remember my first business, I was actually selling muffins. A lot of people don't know that, and it built from there and to where I am today.
Tell me about selling muffins.
The beautiful thing about it is that a lot of people actually laugh at that time, because they didn't understand the vision. That for me, I've never been that kind of kid who would go home and demand, because I could have easily went to my parents and demanded funding. But I said, you know what, let me use whatever capital I have to start something and grow from there to bigger and better things, of which from there I went to selling clothes, from selling clothes into trading stocks.
I think the best thing I could say to anybody think of getting into business in general, as well as trading or any venture you can think of, is to just start. You know, it doesn't matter whether you've got funding, you don't have funding, you've got investors, you don't have investors, your family supports you, they don't support you, people believe in you, people discredit you. It doesn't matter, just get started.
Yeah.
You know, and the reason why I say get started is that most people believe you got to be perfect before you get started. And if that is your goal, you'll never start. You know, that's why I always say to young entrepreneurs, you don't have to be great to start, but you must start to be great. You know, when I started, I wasn't the Sandile I am today. But in order for me to become who I am now, I had to start. If I had not started, we wouldn't be sitting here. People would not be watching what we're talking about today. So start, make those mistakes. Let people discredit you. Let people discourage you. But if you know where you're going, just keep going. Nobody's perfect. Even the most successful of entrepreneurs, they've got mistakes. But the thing is, they keep going. And they started with those mistakes. So just start and keep moving.
When you get into entrepreneurship, the first thing in your mind is money. That, you know, I need to make money, I need to feed myself, I need to be able to take care of my expenses. But once you have done that, you start looking at a bigger picture that, you know what, I've got employees to take care of. I've got people to make sure that we take care of. We've got clients in a number of different cities. So for me, it's more about giving value than just making money at this point.
At first, it was all about making money. You know, it was all about making money. Eventually, as you start making more money, you start realizing that the greatest fulfillment is not just in making money. It's about actually impacting someone's life and expecting nothing in return. You know, when I looked at the life of the father of the nation, Nelson Mandela, that's when I realized that as much as he might not have been the richest guy in the world, but the impact he had not in South Africa, but in the global community was incredible. So that is basically what I strive for as a young man, that one day when I leave this planet, I want to leave, not just disappear, but I want to leave my name engraved in the hearts of